3 years can change a man. I learned that the hard way. 3 years ago, I thought my future was already planned. I believed love could survive anything. I believed promises mattered. Then Emily walked away, leaving me with nothing except questions I could never answer. Now, my life looked different. I owned a home renovation company that I had built from the ground up with my best friend and business partner, Marcus Reed. Every project reminded me that broken things could become beautiful again if someone cared enough to fix them. "You're smiling," Marcus said as we locked up our workshop. "I am. You are. That's rare." I laughed. Maybe business is finally slowing down. Or maybe you finally stopped thinking about your past. I stopped a long time ago. Marcus raised one eyebrow. "I mean it this time." He clapped my shoulder. "Good. You deserve better than living inside old memories." "I know. You coming by tomorrow?" "8 sharp. Don't be late." "I never am." He climbed into his truck and drove away. The rain had already started by the time I reached home. Water rolled down the windshield while thunder echoed across the evening sky. Inside, the silence felt peaceful. I changed into comfortable clothes and made myself a cup of coffee. Just as I sat on the couch, my phone rang. It was my younger sister, Sophie. "Hey," I answered. "Have you eaten?" I smiled. "That's your first question every time. Because I know you. When work gets busy, you forget." "I had lunch." "Lunch isn't dinner." "I was about to cook." "Liar." "I was." She laughed. "You sound happy today." "I guess I am." "See? I told you that one day you'd stop looking backward." "I remember. What did I always say?" I sighed dramatically. "Happiness comes from moving forward, not looking back." "Exactly. You never get tired of saying that. Not until you believe it." "I do believe it." "Good." We talked for another few minutes before saying goodbye. I placed my phone on the table and looked around my quiet house. For the first time in years, it finally felt like home instead of a place filled with ghosts. Then someone knocked. 3 slow knocks. I frowned. Nobody visited without calling first. Another knock came, louder this time. I walked to the front door and opened it. Everything inside me froze. Emily stood there. Rain soaked her coat and hair. Her face looked pale, and dark circles rested beneath her eyes. The confident woman who had broken my heart 3 years ago had disappeared. She looked exhausted. She looked terrified. Most of all, she looked like someone carrying a burden too heavy to hide. Her eyes met mine. Tears filled them instantly. "Please," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Can we talk?" I stared at her without saying a word. For 3 years, I had imagined this moment 100 different ways. I thought I would feel angry, maybe satisfied, maybe nothing at all. Instead, I just felt confused. "What are you doing here, Emily?" I asked. She lowered her head. "I know I don't deserve your time. You're right. I just need a few minutes." "You lost that right when you walked away." She wiped her eyes. "Please." I stepped aside without thinking. She walked inside, leaving small puddles of rainwater on the floor. I closed the door behind her and stayed several feet away. "Say what you came to say." She took a deep breath. "My husband, Daniel, has been very sick." I frowned. "What does that have to do with me?" "He was diagnosed over a year ago." I crossed my arms. "And I stayed with him at first. I tried to be strong. That's what a wife is supposed to do." Her lips trembled. "But every day, I realized something." I didn't answer. "I never stopped loving you." The room became painfully quiet. She stepped toward me. "I made the biggest mistake of my life when I left you." I shook my head in disbelief. "Emily, are you hearing yourself?" "I know how it sounds." "No, I don't think you do." Tears streamed down her face. "I thought money and comfort would make me happy. I thought I had chosen the better future. I was wrong. You made your choice." "I know. So why are you standing in my house telling me this while your husband is fighting for his life?" She covered her face with both hands. "I can't keep lying to myself anymore. You should be beside him. I want to be with the person I truly love." I felt my stomach turn. "So your answer to your husband getting sick is to leave him?" She looked at me with desperate eyes. "I'll divorce him." The words hit me harder than I expected. "I'll leave everything behind," she continued. "We can start over. I'll do anything to earn your forgiveness." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 3 years ago, she had shattered my heart without looking back. Now, she wanted me to help her shatter someone else's. No, She blinked. What? My answer is no. Please don't decide so quickly. I decided 3 years ago when you walked away. I've changed. No, you've only changed because life became difficult. She opened her mouth to speak again. Before she could, another loud knock echoed through the house. Emily's face turned white. Who is that? I asked. She whispered, I don't know. I opened the door. A tall man stood outside, breathing heavily from the rain. Thank God, he said. Emily, I've been looking everywhere. She gasped. Nathan. He looked at me with tired eyes. I'm Nathan Carter, Daniel's older brother. I'm sorry to disturb you. Then he turned toward Emily. Daniel collapsed again. He's asking for you. Emily didn't move. Nathan frowned. What are you doing here while my brother is lying in a hospital bed? The morning after Emily appeared at my door, I could not stop hearing her words. She wanted to leave her sick husband and start over with me. The thought made my stomach twist. I arrived at the office early, hoping work would clear my head, but Marcus noticed my face immediately. You look terrible, he said. I barely slept. Because of her? I nodded. Marcus folded his arms. Tell me everything. I explained every detail, including Nathan's arrival and Emily's confession. Marcus stayed silent until I finished. She's doing it again, he finally said. What do you mean? She only thinks about herself. I looked away. I don't want to believe anyone can be that selfish. You already lived through it once. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Nathan's name appeared on the screen. I should take this. Marcus nodded. Go. I answered immediately. Nathan, can we meet? I owe you an explanation. An hour later, we sat inside a quiet coffee shop. Nathan looked exhausted, as though he had not slept for days. I'm sorry you got dragged into this, he said. I never wanted to be involved. I know. He wrapped both hands around his coffee without drinking it. My brother has been sick for over a year. Emily told me. She didn't tell you everything. I stayed quiet. Daniel sold his fishing boat to pay for treatments. I frowned. He loved that boat. Nathan smiled sadly. He loved Emily more. I felt my chest tighten. He also refinanced their house. For medical bills? Nathan shook his head. No, he used his savings for those. The loan paid for Emily's design business because she dreamed about opening it. I stared at him. He did that while he was fighting for his life? Yes. Nathan sighed. He never wanted her to worry. Did she know how serious his condition was? Not completely. Why? Because Daniel kept hiding the worst parts. I rubbed my forehead. He told doctors not to scare her. Nathan looked straight into my eyes. He kept saying, if one of us has to suffer, let it be me. Those words stayed with me. I don't understand, I whispered. Neither do I. Nathan swallowed hard. Despite everything he sacrificed, Emily became distant. Distant how? She stopped coming to appointments. My heart sank. She spent more time talking about starting a new life than helping the man already sharing one with her. I looked through the window as rain tapped against the glass. The woman who once broke my heart had not changed. She had simply found someone else to break next. Nathan's words stayed with me long after we left the coffee shop. I drove back to the office in complete silence, replaying every sentence in my mind. Daniel had hidden his pain, protected his wife, and sacrificed everything he had. Yet Emily had come to my house asking me to help her abandon him. Marcus looked up as I walked inside. How did it go? Worse than I expected. I told him everything Nathan had shared. Marcus let out a long breath. I knew she was selfish, he said. But this, I keep hoping there's another side to the story. There probably is. You think so? Yes. He leaned against my desk. But I don't think it changes who she is. Before I could answer, my phone vibrated again. An unknown number. I answered carefully. Hello. Is this Ethan? Yes. My name is Olivia Brooks. I'm one of Daniel's closest friends. I frowned. How did you get my number? Nathan gave it to me. He thought you deserved the truth. I walked into the hallway for privacy. I'm listening. Olivia spoke softly. Daniel never complained about Emily. He didn't. Not once. What was he like? He always defended her. I closed my eyes. Even when she stopped visiting him regularly? Yes. He said she was tired. What else? He kept telling everyone she deserved happiness. Her voice cracked. He believed he was holding her back. I couldn't find any words. Do you know what he said last week? No. He smiled and said, if I recover, we'll travel like she always wanted. If I don't, I hope she still find a reason to smile. My throat tightened. He really said that? Every word. After the call ended, I stood there staring at the wall. An hour later, Emily called. I almost ignored it. Instead, I answered, Ethan, please meet me. No, just hear me out. We've already talked. I can't stay with Daniel anymore. He needs you. He deserves someone who truly loves him. So your solution is to run away with me before he dies? She didn't answer immediately. Finally, she whispered, life is too short to stay trapped. My grip tightened around the phone. No, Emily. What? Life is too short to betray someone who gave you everything. Silence. Then she quietly said, I still love you. I don't believe you know what love is anymore. I ended the call. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Emily. It was a message from Daniel. Thank you for being kind to Emily years ago. Nathan told me you treated her with respect. I'm grateful she once had someone who cared about her. I hope life has been good to you. I read the message 3 times. A man fighting for his life was thanking me. A man whose wife wanted to leave him was wishing me happiness. I lowered my phone and whispered to myself, what kind of man do I want to become? I spent the next 2 days avoiding Emily's calls. She left voicemail after voicemail, each one sounding more desperate than the last. I deleted every message without listening to the end. I had already heard enough. Nothing she could say would erase what I had learned about Daniel. On Friday afternoon, another text appeared. Please meet me one last time. If you ever loved me, give me 5 minutes. I stared at the screen for several minutes before answering. One conversation. Nothing more. She sent the location immediately. It was the old park where we had once planned our future together. As I walked toward the lake, memories followed every step. 3 years ago, I had imagined proposing there again after we got married. Now, the same place felt like a stranger. Emily stood beside the empty bench. She looked cleaner than the night she came to my house, but her eyes were still swollen from crying. A small box rested beside her feet, along with an old photo album. You came, she whispered. I said 5 minutes. Thank you. What do you want? She knelt beside the box and opened it. Inside were photographs, faded letters, and small gifts we had exchanged years before. I kept everything, she said. I looked at the pictures without touching them. One showed us laughing in the rain. Another showed me painting the walls of our first apartment together. You remember this day? She asked. I remember all of them. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I never stopped loving you. I remained silent. She picked up a bundle of letters tied with a blue ribbon. I read these every month. You still married Daniel. I thought I could forget you. You didn't. No. She reached into her coat pocket and slowly opened her hand. The engagement ring I had given her rested on her palm. I couldn't throw it away. I looked at the ring for only a second. It stopped belonging to me 3 years ago. It always belonged to us. No. Her breathing became uneven. I packed my bags this morning. I frowned. What? I'm leaving Daniel. My expression hardened. I already told him I needed space. You did what? I'll file for divorce. I shook my head. Emily, just say yes. She stepped closer. We can leave this town today. She grabbed my hands. We'll start over somewhere new. I gently pulled away. You don't understand. I do. No, you don't. She looked at me with desperate hope. I've waited 3 years for another chance. I took a slow breath. You think this is a love story? It is. I looked directly into her eyes. No, Emily, it isn't. Emily stared at me, waiting for the answer she had already imagined in her mind. I met her eyes and spoke as calmly as I could. I loved you once. Her face brightened for a brief second. But I can't love the person standing in front of me now. The hope disappeared from her eyes. What are you saying? I'm saying I could never choose someone who abandons a loyal partner during the hardest moment of his life. She shook her head. You don't understand how unhappy I've been. I understand more than you think. You don't know what it's like. I know exactly what it's like to be left behind. She reached for my arm. I made a mistake. You've made another one. I came back because I love you. No. She froze. You came back because life stopped being easy. Tears streamed down her face. Please don't do this. I'm not doing anything. You still care about me. I care enough to tell you the truth. She whispered, then choose me. I stepped back. I choose honesty. Without another word, I turned and walked toward my truck. She called my name again and again, but I never looked back. Instead of driving home, I drove straight to the hospital. Nathan met me outside Daniel's room. You came. I need to speak with him. Nathan studied my face for a moment before quietly opening the door. Daniel looked weak, but he smiled when he saw me. You must be Ethan. I nodded. I'm sorry to bother you. You aren't bothering me. I pulled a chair beside his bed. I need to tell you something difficult. His smile slowly faded. Is it about Emily? I took a deep breath. Yes. I told him everything. I told him about Emily coming to my house. I told him she wanted to leave him. I told him she asked me to run away with her. When I finished, the room became completely silent. Daniel lowered his eyes to the blanket. For several long seconds, he didn't speak. Finally, he looked at me again. Thank you. I blinked. You're thanking me? You could have hidden this. I couldn't. You gave me the truth before it was too late. His voice trembled. That took courage. I felt guilt settle heavily in my chest. I'm sorry. He gave me a tired smile. You didn't betray me. A sudden noise came from the doorway. Emily stood there, breathing hard. Her eyes moved from me to Daniel. Ethan. She looked confused. What are you doing here? I stood up slowly. I told him. Her face lost all color. No. You deserve the truth, Daniel, I said quietly. Emily rushed toward me. How could you? I looked at her without anger. The better question is how you could do this to the man who loved you without asking for anything in return. She stared at me in disbelief. For the first time since she returned, she understood that I had not chosen revenge. I had chosen the kind of man I wanted to become. For months passed before I saw Emily again. Life had slowly returned to something that felt normal. Work kept me busy, Marcus kept me laughing, and Sophie never stopped reminding me that healing happened one honest day at a time. One afternoon, Marcus tossed a set of blueprints onto my desk. You've been different. In a good way or a bad way. In a peaceful way. I smiled. I think I'm finally done carrying the past. Good. He leaned against the table. Have you heard about Daniel? I have. Nathan and I had stayed in touch after everything happened. Every few weeks, he sent a short message about Daniel's recovery. The treatments were finally working. Daniel was still weak, but he had been strong enough to leave the hospital and return home. I'm happy for him, I said. He deserves it. He really does. Marcus nodded. And Emily? I let out a slow breath. I haven't spoken to her. I heard she moved into an apartment by herself. I stayed silent. Most of her friends stopped talking to her. I don't enjoy hearing that. I know. He looked at me carefully. That's why you moved on. Before I could answer, my phone vibrated. An unknown number. I answered. Hello. Ethan. I recognized the voice immediately. Emily. What do you want? I know I don't deserve another conversation. You're right. Please. I closed my eyes. This isn't about getting back together. I don't believe that. It isn't. I remained quiet. I just want to apologize. I almost ended the call. Instead, I asked where. The little cafe near Riverside Park. The one we used to visit? Yes. I hesitated. One conversation. Thank you. The next afternoon, I walked into the quiet cafe. Emily was already sitting by the window. She looked completely different from the woman who had begged me to run away with her. She wore no expensive clothes. No confident smile. Only regret. When I sat down, neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, she broke the silence. I heard Daniel is getting better. He is. I'm glad. I studied her face. You look tired. I haven't been sleeping much. She looked down at her coffee. My divorce became final last month. I didn't respond. I lost almost everyone. She gave a weak laugh. My friends said they couldn't trust me anymore. The sadness in her voice sounded real. I don't blame them. She slowly looked up. I've had a lot of time to think. About what? Everything. She wiped away a tear. I confused comfort with love. I listened quietly. I confused excitement with loyalty. The cafe fell silent again. For the first time since she returned to my life, she wasn't asking me for anything. She was finally telling the truth. I owe both you and Daniel an apology, she whispered, and I don't expect either of you to forget what I did. Emily looked at me with red, tired eyes. I've replayed every decision I made, she said quietly. Every day, I asked myself how I became that person. I folded my hands on the table. What answer did you find? She gave a sad smile. I stopped choosing people. I waited. I started choosing whatever made me comfortable. A tear slid down her cheek. When life with you became uncertain, I left. She lowered her head. When life with Daniel became painful, I wanted to leave again. Neither of us spoke for a moment. I finally understand, she whispered. Love isn't about chasing happiness. It's about staying when life becomes difficult. I nodded slowly. I wish you had learned that years ago. So do I. She took a deep breath. I know I don't deserve another chance. Her voice shook. But I have to ask. She looked directly into my eyes. Is there any chance we could start over? The question hung between us. I felt no anger, no desire for revenge, only peace. I answered gently, Emily, I forgive you. Her eyes filled with hope. Then I continued, but forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. The hope disappeared. I don't hate you anymore. I know. I forgave you because I refused to carry bitterness for the rest of my life. She wiped away another tear. But I will never return to someone who walked away when love became difficult. She covered her face with both hands. I'm so sorry. I believe you. I would do anything to change the past. I know, but the past doesn't change. She slowly nodded. I understand. We sat in silence for another minute. Then I stood. She looked up. Is this goodbye? Yes. I hope you find happiness. I hope you become someone who never makes the same choice again. She managed a small, broken smile. I'll spend the rest of my life trying. I left enough money to cover my coffee and walked toward the door. Outside, the afternoon sun broke through the clouds. For years, I had believed the greatest victory would be watching Emily regret losing me. I had been wrong. The greatest victory was never making her suffer. It was becoming a man who respected himself enough to walk away. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel. Coffee next week? I'd like to thank you properly. I smiled and replied, I'd like that. As I slipped my phone into my pocket, I realized my future no longer belonged to old memories or broken promises. It belonged to the man I had chosen to become. I walked forward without looking back. Some doors only close once. This time, I left mine closed with peace, honesty, and self-respect.